So my name's Bronte Elizabeth and I'm 24 years old. I just turned 24. I'm an Aquarius with a Pisces moon and an Aquarius rising. I don't know how many people care about that, but I care about it. I'm from Melbourne, born and bred. I was born in 98. And by the time I was, how old? I know, like 7. My dad had an affair, and then my parents got a divorce. And then me and my 2 younger siblings, I have a sister and a brother, we're all really, really close, like super tight. And so my parents got a divorce and we used to see my dad like every second weekend. And then eventually he just like stopped seeing us. And then I didn't see him for like 11 years. And I've actually recently reconnected with him. He reached out to me and messaged me on Facebook. And then he was like, oh, let's go out for lunch and catch up and stuff. And I was like, I was like a bit like, I don't know what to do, but I'm just going to do it and see what he has to say. And it was kind of strange. It was kind of like catching up with an old friend because it didn't feel like he was like my dad or whatever. And then like we even went out and we were going for a walk along Brunswick Street because I took him to a vegan restaurant because I was like, you're going to eat vegan food with me. And then he was even like, oh, do you smoke? Like, do you want a cigarette? And I was like, this is so weird. Like, what the hell? And then, but we had a really good chat and stuff. And then like, we've been seeing each other out for lunch and dinner and stuff. And I met his new wife and she's really nice. So like, we're kind of like slowly rekindling that relationship. But yeah, go back again. So the divorce happened and I didn't see my dad for ages. And then in primary school, I was already like really into kind of darker, like more edgy kind of things. Like even growing up when my dad was around, I was listening to like punk music, like The Offspring, and I was listening to like Metallica, and I was hanging out with him in the garage when he worked on his motorbike, and I was reading tattoo magazines. So that was kind of like a really foundational time for me where I got into like the kind of culture that I knew I was like going to become obsessed with, like the heavy music, the kind of like alternative scene and the tattoos and stuff like that. And even when I looked at the girls in the magazines, I was like, I want to look like her kind of thing. And now I'm in magazines. And then what else? Yeah, in primary school, I was like already doing these like challenges with my friends called like ABC burns, which is where you constantly scratch at your wrist like A, B, C, D, E, all the way through the alphabet and see how many times you can do it. And everybody just thought it was funny and would do it, but I'll do it like proper and like actually quite hurt myself. And then I'll do it with like pins and like scissors and like stuff like that. And then I would like, this is so fucked up, but like in grade 5, I used to just like cut myself in class, like just like at the table, and people were like, what the fuck? Like, you're a freak. And I was like, I don't give a fuck, like, and all this. And I used to like draw these pictures of like all these people that were dead and like blood all over them. Like I was like a fucking emo little kid. And then by the time I got to high school, I didn't really fit in with anybody because I was like the weird emo kid at school, and there was like no other weird emo kids except for me. And you know, I did have a bit of a friendship group at the end of primary school, but they all went to different schools. And then by the time we got to high school, they like made new friends. And then I had a really good close friend in year 7, but then in year 8 she went to a different school. So then I was like all by myself. Like I had no friends at all. I used to like sit behind the fucking the PE building, like the stadium, like the gym, by myself at recess and lunch, just like listening to music and stuff. And like it was really fucked. Like I used to just like sit in the bathrooms and like cut myself, or like just like search up like how to tie a noose. Like by the time I was 15, I knew how to tie a noose out of rope, and I was gonna hang myself in the tree next to the school because like people used to pick on me and stuff. They used to tell me to kill myself, and like they used to walk past me going like this, and like, oh, cut yourself and all this. And yeah, it was really fucked up. So that's what happened to me in high school. And then I started getting into going to the gym, which actually really helped me. Both gym and music came hand in hand. And yeah, I went to the gym like twice a day, every day for like a couple of years, like from the time I was like 15 to like after I finished high school. And I would do like a boot camp kind of class in the morning at like 6 a.m. before school. And then I'd finish school and then go to the gym and like just try and like lift as heavy as I could and like just pump iron, you know what I mean? And yeah, I actually got a few friends like doing that. There was a few people that I reconnected with like that I knew in primary school and stuff, and we became friends because of going to the gym together and whatever. And then what happened after that? Yeah, and then I knew that I was going to be okay, and that, you know, whatever happened during that time like really shaped me as a person. And then by the time I was 18, I was like, I'm going to get a tattoo because, you know, I knew I wanted tattoos like my whole life. Like ever since I was like 11, I was like, I'm going to be covered in tattoos. And my mom was like, no. And I was like, yeah. And then when I was 18, my mom actually came with me and she took me to the appointment and like to talk to the artist, and she was there and she like held my hand and stuff because I was really nervous. And it was actually a butterfly on my ribs. And yeah, he was like, all right, you ready? And I was like, yeah, I'm ready. And then I like squeezed my eyes and I was like, and then like he did it and I was like, oh, it's not even that bad. And then as soon as we finished the first tattoo, I was like planning the next one already in my head. I was like, okay, this is a lifelong addiction. And then what happened after that? I worked a whole bunch of different jobs, like just full-time jobs in like hospitality and like office work and all that. Realized it wasn't for me. And then somebody I knew was a dancer at a gentleman's club. And I spoke to her about it, and I was, because I saw like on Instagram that she was going out for like brunches on a Tuesday while I was stuck at work in an office. And I was like, I want to do that, you know? So I messaged her. I was like, how do you get into it? I'm really interested. Like, I'm overworking a day job and don't want to work a 9 to 5. It's not for me. And then she's like, you literally just search up the club you want to work at and apply online. So I did that. And then, you know, 3 years later, I'm still dancing and I love it. You know, it gives me a lot of financial freedom and a lot of free time. And I probably wouldn't have the amount of tattoos that I have now if I wasn't dancing. One, because of the money, and two, because the other industries probably wouldn't be too happy with it. What else? Yeah, and then when veganism. Oh my gosh, how did I forget? I went vegan when I was 18. And I'll talk more about my vegan journey a bit later. But yeah, I went vegan when I was 18, and then before that I was vegetarian for 4 years, from the age of 14 to 18. And then now I've been vegan for about 6 years. So that's been really good. It's probably the best decision I've made in my entire life. And then I met my partner Ricky when I was 18 as well. I was like fresh out of high school. He was a year older than me. Oh, not even. He's like 6 months older than me. And yeah, we met and we started dating, and we've been together for like 5 years now as well. And what else? And yeah, he's really cool about my job, about dancing. Like, even when I knew that I wanted to do it, he drove me to my interview and like waited in the car outside to like see how it all went and whatever. And he used to actually drive me to work every day, and like then I'd just get an Uber home. But this is back when I was drinking and stuff. And yeah, he was really good about it. And then he'd like make sure there was food for me when I got home. He'd like set up all the bed so it was all comfy if he wasn't home, and like write little notes for me, like really cute. And then I'm trying to think of it like in a chronological order, like a timeline. And then, yeah, I started getting into spirituality when I was 22, I think, or maybe 21. I've always been quite a like in-depth thinker anyways. But it kind of all like fast-tracked when I started doing psychedelics in 2020. And I'll talk about my first experience when we go into that. But yeah, and then I just like skyrocketed into spirituality. It was like writing like notebooks upon notebooks. Like I wrote 192 pages back and front of just like my thoughts and stuff, like about the universe and about my own mind and all that, and about consciousness. And then not too long after that, I started talking to this beautiful human online, who is now my other partner, Kenzie. And we've been dating for about 6 months now. But she lives in Texas, so we're in a long distance relationship. She's planning on coming here to visit and potentially move here as well. But she's really cool. She's really spiritual as well, and she's been vegan for like 11 years. So as soon as I found that out, I was like, oh, 11 years, that's pretty amazing. And she's covered in tattoos as well. Like we've got a lot in common.
Why did you decide to tattoo yourself so heavily?
I really love the idea of collecting things that aren't physically an object, if that makes sense. I love, first of all, I love body modifications. So I love decorating. I love decorating things. Like everything that I have is like covered in stickers, and like even my car, like even though it's a really cool car, I'm going to put stickers all over it. And like, yeah, I just really love tattoo culture, and I love how they look, and I love the vibe that it gives someone. Really like, I don't know, it makes me stand out, and I like being different, and always have been different, and I like to look different as well. And yeah, I don't know, I just really love tattoos, and I just love that like they're really good conversation starters. They can tell a lot about a person. Like a lot of my stories are on my body in tattoos. Like pretty much every tattoo that I have has a story. And yeah, I don't know. I just think tattoos are really sexy, and I just think they look really cool.
Can you walk me through some of your most interesting tattoos?
Of course. There is one that stands out actually. It's actually probably a smaller one, and it's kind of fallen out a bit, but it says now, and it's on this part of my hand because like if I'm driving or like if I'm just wherever, I can always see it, and it's like a nice little reminder to like just try and be present as much as you can, because a lot of the stresses of life come from like the past or the future, and like they don't really exist at all. Like all we have is right now. So this is like a good little reminder to just keep that in mind. And it's actually done wonders for me, like having this tattoo here, and I highly recommend anybody else getting it too. Like I won't be mad if somebody copies me. Like I think it's a fantastic idea. And I noticed that one of my friends actually has it on his wrist, and I was like, I never noticed that. I was like, I literally just got one. He's like, yeah, I've had it for ages. I was like, oh my God, so smart. But yeah, so that's probably up there, even though it's like just small and like fallen out and stuff and needs to be touched up. But the meaning of that one's really special to me. And this sleeve is my vegan sleeve, and I got it for like the victims of the animal agriculture industries. So I got a cow and a chicken. The cow's name is Daisy. My tattooist Kyle named the cow, and I named the rooster Rodney because like Rodney the rooster just works. And I got some little bees on there as well, because they're really important as part of our like overall ecosystem. And also some fruit, because like fruit's my favorite food, like berries. Like I literally live on berries, I eat them every day. They're my favorite. But this sleeve's really important to me because veganism's a really big part of my life. And yeah, this is like a really good tattoo to bring up the conversation as well, because a lot of people ask me about it, and then I get to talk about veganism. And then some people, you know, have a light bulb moment. They're like, oh my God, yeah, I don't want to support that. I'm like, yeah, I know, you know. What else? Oh, my neck is also really important to me. I don't know if anybody knows too much about sacred geometry, but this one is called the Flower of Life. And it's pretty much like the blueprint of the universe, because every single shape can be found in this pattern, like circles and like triangles and squares, like literally every shape. And also every other sacred geometric pattern can be found within this pattern as well. So this one's kind of like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like a big like topic, but like, yeah, I got this one after I started getting really into spirituality, and I knew that I wanted to get something really important on my neck because it's like near my face. So yeah, this one's really special to me because it's sacred geometry and it means a lot. What else? All of them are special to me, but I'm just trying to think of the ones that really stand out the most. Oh, and I also have one on the bottom of my foot as well. It says down to earth, and I think that's just like really an accurate description of me, where I'm just like, I'm grounded, I'm down to earth, you know, everything is earthy, like, you know. But yeah, this one is a good one as well. And yeah, on my knuckles I also have free mind as well, which is pretty cool because free mind, I just want everybody to have a free mind and everybody to be free in every way that word has meaning.
How much have you roughly spent on your tattoos?
I could comfortably say over 20,000, I think. Yeah, it's between 20 and 30, I think. Yeah, but comfortable, I'll say 20 because it's no less than 20. Yeah.
Which one was your most expensive?
Probably either this sleeve or my back, because I've got my entire back tattooed. It's got like a tiger on this side and then a snake on this side. And I actually got these ones for a pretty good reason as well. I forgot I even had that, to be honest. The snake is to represent the divine feminine side of me, because like the left side of your body is the feminine side. And then the tiger is to represent the divine masculine side within me, because the right side is the masculine side. And yeah, because I always feel like I have this internal battle of like masculine and feminine. And like I recently came out as like non-binary and gender fluid, but I still don't know what pronouns I use because it's just so like all over the place. So I just usually stick with like they, she, but changes all the time just depending on how I feel. But yeah, so I got these ones to like represent the feminine and masculine within me. Yeah, but that one was quite expensive as well. So I don't know if it was the back or this one. Yeah.
What's your goal or your limit with your tattoos?
I don't think I have one. I don't think I have a goal or a limit. I'm just going to probably keep getting tattooed forever. Like even once I run out of space. I'm so sorry, tattoo artists that have tattooed me, but I'm probably just going to tattoo over the ones that I have. Oh my God, they're going to be so upset to know that. No, but I won't tattoo over this one, Kyle, don't worry. But some of the ones that if I no longer resonate with them, I'll just tattoo over them. Like I'm probably never going to stop getting tattooed ever. Yeah. Like I probably won't do my entire face. I will get face tattoos, but I'm not going to cover my whole face in them. But yeah, I'm going to cover every single part of my body. Yeah. Even the parts that like, I'm going to do my palms soon. Yeah. I don't know what I'm going to do. Probably sacred geometry of some sort. But yeah, I'm going to get a lot more.
Do you get treated differently because you're heavily tattooed?
Yes and no. I think yes is more so by strangers that like don't know me. And also like venues as well. Like I went on a holiday to the Gold Coast with my friend and my partner, and we tried to get into the casino because my friend loves the pokies, whereas I have no interest in gambling, but like I was going to go with them. I'm not going to, you know. So we tried to get in and they were like, she can't come in. And I was like, really? And he goes, yeah. And the security was actually like, oh, do you have any Band-Aids or like a hat that you can wear? Because like I had a bald head back then and my head's fully tattooed as well. And so I get that because I have bikie laws up there. So like I get it, but like I'm 5'2" and like I'm quite a small person. Like I'm not going to cause any problems. Like I'm not a bikie. But he goes, do you have any Band-Aids? And I was like, so if I stick Band-Aids all over my head, you'll let me in? He's like, yep. And I was like, that's ridiculous. So like I can't get into some places because of my tattoos. In Melbourne, it's pretty sweet because like everybody's tattooed in Melbourne, and people in Melbourne know that if you've got tattoos, you're probably just a vegan hipster and not a bikie. But people that know me, I don't think treat me differently. But at the same time, I wouldn't know because of the comparison. I've never been not tattooed. So yeah, I mostly just get like odd looks by like old people, or like boomers would just like look at me a bit weird, or like yeah, I think I just get more of a positive reaction for them, like because a lot of people talk to me about them, they think they're cool, and like I make a lot of friends through the tattoo culture, and like all of my friends are tattooed as well, so like I think it just helps me find my people.
How do your family feel about your tattoos?
They're pretty cool with it now. When I first started getting tattooed and I started getting more and more and more, my mum's like, oh no, you've got another one. Like, please don't get any more. Like, and then she would say things like, please just don't get your hands or your neck. Or she would say, just get them where you can't see them. And then the more that I got, she was like, oh no. And then like, she eventually just stopped caring. And then now she actually shows everybody. She goes, look at my daughter, like, look how cool she is. And like, she thinks it's really cool. Like, she talks about it to everybody. She thinks I'm like the cool little rebel of the family, because like I'm the black sheep of my family, obviously. But yeah, my family think it's like super cool now. And my dad's got tattoos as well, so he probably always knew that I would have them anyways. But yeah, my family like them now, yeah.
Which tattoo would you say has the most interesting story?
When I was getting my head tattooed, I got it all done in one session, and it took 8 hours. And usually when I tell people that, people are like, whoa. And like, it was not too bad at the start, because like he did the sides first and then the back, and that was all quite easy. And I was just like talking and whatever else was fine. And then when he got to the very top, like the crown, my whole entire head was like swollen. And then it felt like he was just like, I don't know, like tattooing on more swollen, like my whole head. It was so weird. And then like, because it was super painful and it was like 6 hours in, I was like meditating like during my tattoo. And I was like, in my head, I was saying like mind over matter, like pain is optional, like trying to just like meditate out of it. And I actually like got through, and I managed to like minimize the pain that I was feeling based on like my mental state. And I thought that was really cool. That was like quite like a breakthrough moment for me. And yeah, I got through the tattoo, and then like after that I was completely exhausted. Like I had big bags under my eyes, like I was completely pale, like I was all shaky and stuff. And it felt like I was wearing a helmet like made of like Play-Doh or something. It was super weird. It was so swollen. And I felt like I was just an alien with like a big head. And yeah, and then I had to drive 2 hours home from the tattoo appointment because the artist lives like 2 hours from me. So I was like driving home like, ugh, like so dead, but I was exhausted. So that's a pretty funny story. Yeah.
What is the tattoo on your head?
I've got on this side, there's like a web with a spider on it, which is like to represent the interconnectedness of everything. And the spider knows when something's in the web from the vibrations. So like one tiny thing can like vibrate outwards and change everything. And then on this side, I've got awake, like massively from like here to here, just in like black letters. It just says awake. And then on the back, I've got like a big eye, like an all-seeing eye. And then under the eye, I've got some like roses, which I actually got prior to getting the rest done. So I got the roses on like the undercut part like a couple years ago, and then I got the rest of it done. And then I've got like barbed wire like at the front of my forehead. And then on the top, I've got like a sun and a moon like crossing over each other. And then in the gaps, I've just got like little flowers and stuff.
What are some common misconceptions about people that are heavily tattooed?
People think that we're like criminals, like even though that's like super outdated. Like people always think that like we're up to no good or whatever. Like even when I go out with my friends and I sit down for 2 seconds, somebody always without failure comes up to me and asks me if I'm selling drugs. And I'm like, I'm sober. I don't even drink, and no, I don't sell drugs. And like, even just like not getting let into like certain venues because of like the tattoos and stuff. Yeah, people just think that like you're a bit rough around the edges or like whatever. Even like some jobs won't hire you if you're heavily tattooed and stuff, which is like, doesn't make any sense. Like if you're heavily tattooed, it means that you know how to show up for appointments on time. It means that you're not scared of commitment. And it means that you're confident in who you are, and what you see is what you get, you know. So I think tattoos are an awesome representation of a person.
What's the best part of being heavily tattooed, and what's the worst part?
The best part is being able to show what's on the inside on the outside, kind of like self-expression, and it's really cool to be able to just be like, this is me, you know, this is what you see, what you get. And I think it's really cool to be able to express yourself like on your vessel, like it's like decoration, and I think that's really cool, and that's probably my favorite part about tattoos. And the worst part would probably be either the misconceptions about it, like people thinking that you shouldn't be allowed to go to certain venues, like you're not getting let in places, or not being able to get certain jobs, which isn't so prevalent these days anyway. But I think there would still be some roles that you would get turned down for just based on how you look, which I don't think is very fair. And also within the tattoo industry, there are a lot of tattoo artists that take advantage of their clients. I'm lucky that that's never happened to me before, but there are a lot of tattoo artists that are super inappropriate with their clients, especially if they're young girls. And I think that's a really ugly part of the industry, but it has been shown a lot of light on recently. So a lot of people are getting called out for it, and, you know, people are sticking up for their clients and like speaking out against artists that aren't respecting the art. So, there is some like dark sides to every industry, but I think that's probably one of them in tattooing as well.
Can you explain the dark side of the tattoo, like that aspect of it? So was there something they were doing?
Yeah, so like there were some artists that would offer young girls for their free tattoo, like, oh, just come to my house and like, you know, you don't have to pay for it. And then they'll like try and take advantage of them when they're not in the studio, or like tell them to come after hours, or like touch them inappropriately during tattoo bookings. Because especially if you're new to the tattoo industry and you don't really know or you're not comfortable enough to speak out if something makes you uncomfortable. So some girls will just sit there and like sit still while they're being tattooed, even if the guy's touching them inappropriately and stuff. So it's just, there is a lot of like stuff that happens within the industry. But like I said, it's being spoken about. So yeah, I think it's going to happen a lot less, hopefully.
How long have you been in the industry, and what type of sex work are you a part of?
Cool. So I've been in the sex industry for about 3 years. I started when I was like fresh 20, and now I'm 24. Oh, so maybe a bit longer then. I'm a stripper, and I've been dancing for that 3 years. And I've worked at multiple I've worked at multiple clubs throughout Melbourne. And I've also used to do like online content creating, like on websites like OnlyFans and Fansly and stuff. I don't really do that anymore, but I'm thinking of starting up another Fansly page so that I can raise money for like animal rescue charities, and like give money to like sanctuaries and stuff. So if I do online content creating again, it would be solely for the animals.
What's your best or funniest story from your time?
Oh my gosh.
As a stripper?
There is so many. I was working at this club. It was like my first club, and there was this dude walking around like trying to talk to all the girls and stuff, but he was like super drunk, like messy and like stumbling around and stuff. And we could like smell something like gross, and it kind of smelled like poo. And then like he had like stuff on the back of his pants, so like he actually shit himself like at the strip club. Like, who does that? He was so wasted, he shit his pants. And I was talking to his friends as well, and his friends are like, yeah, he does that all the time. So like he regularly shits his pants when he's drunk, even when he's at the strip club. Like, who does that? So that's a funny story. And what else? There was also, there was this time where this guy would come in quite regularly as well. And quite regularly. That word is so hard to say. Anyways, this guy used to come in quite often, and he like knew a bunch of the dancers and stuff, and he would talk to them about everybody drinks and whatever. And then one time his girlfriend came in, and she was like, where is he and all this? And like she went up to him, and they were like having a full-blown argument like at the bar, like in the strip club. And then because there was a girl like talking to him, the girlfriend was like having a go at the stripper. And then like one of the other strippers like got security, and she like got kicked out or whatever. But it's like, don't come into our club and yell at us. Like, if you don't want your boyfriend to be there, tell him. And if he goes anyway, just break up with him. Like, you know. So that was pretty funny as well. You know, pretty red hot. There's also a really good story about these two regulars that used to come in and book me and my friend for like the whole night. And we used to just sit in VIP and just like party and drink and like just do whatever. We didn't really have to dance for them because they didn't really care. They just liked to party. And they used to pay us like so much to just sit in VIP for like 6 hours with them. Like, it was so much fun. So, and they used to come in like every week. And so that was like a pretty good time as well. You know, we get some pretty cool customers come in that just want to hang out, and that's really fun. But yeah, there's a few good stories.
What do you wish people outside the industry knew about sex work?
I wish they knew that it isn't as dirty as they think it is. Because a lot of people think of sex work and they're like, oh, that's like all dirty and it's like, you know, mysterious and like gross and whatever. But it's actually like very professional. We have rules that we follow. You know, we're just normal people. We're not like whatever, you know, we're just normal people and we just work a normal job. It's like, it's kind of like working in hospitality, kind of like you have to be like bubbly and fun, and you know, you're just there for a good time and everybody else is there for a good time. So like, it doesn't need to be anything taboo or serious or whatever. Like, at the end of the day, it's just a job, and we're all there for the same reason. We all work for the same reason. We're here to make money so we can live. And yeah, it's like when I first started dancing, and my mum, I didn't tell her straight away, and I just told her that I was like a bartender or whatever. And then I told her that I was like just an entertainer at the club, and that I didn't do dances or get naked. I just told her that like I'm just on stage as like the club entertainment, and I got an hourly wage, which does not happen. There's no such thing as hourly wages at strip clubs. But she's never been, so that's what I told her. And then eventually I told her, I was like, yeah, I'm a stripper kind of thing. And then she was like, not too happy, but the more we spoke about it, she kind of understood, and now she's like totally fine with it. So I think if more people just take the time to like maybe do some research, or even just go to a strip club or go and visit a sex worker for whatever service it is, like you'll see that it's not as crazy as everybody thinks it is. You know, it's just a job.
What's the difference between a good and a bad client?
A good client gives you money, for one. They tip you for your time. So even if you're just having a chat with them or sitting down with them for a drink, like even if they don't want to go for a dance, they should still be tipping you for your time, because you don't get paid to be there. Like, we actually pay to work. So like they should be tipping us because we're still entertaining them by chatting to them, and they obviously still want to have our company, so they should be paying for it. So a customer that tips is polite. A customer that doesn't try and push rules or boundaries. So like there are a few customers, like if you tell them the rules, they'll just instantly break them and be like, oh, sorry. I'm like, no, you can't do that, you know? So yeah, a customer that's just like respectful and like tips you and just a nice person, you know, and just wants to have a good time. Like, I have a lot of customers that are like my bros, and like we just call each other dude and stuff, and they'll just like give me money. I'm like, this is the best, and they're like my friends. And a bad customer does not tip, or tries to talk to you while like grabbing you, or like will come up and just like touch you inappropriately, like try and grab your ass or grope you like as they're walking past, or when they're talking to you, they'll like be super drunk and like leaning into you and like spitting when they're speaking. Oh my god, it's so gross. That happens all the time because they're all so drunk, so they just spit when they speak. I'm like, say it, don't spray it. But yeah, or even when they do go for a dance and they you tell them the rules, like, oh, only touching above waist, can't touch below waist, and some of them will just blatantly like grab your ass and like you can't do that. Or they'll try and like lick you and like kiss you and stuff. I'm like, you can't do that. And then they'll keep trying, and then you just have to walk out the dance. But that's bad and disgusting, so like don't do that. Yeah.
Why is the sex work industry important, or strip clubs?
I think it's important because there are some people out there that just really want the companionship of a beautiful woman or like a beautiful person, and like, or they just want to like escape their worries and like see somebody who's going to give them that feminine energy that they may be lacking, or even just like a little confidence boost. Some people just come in to hang out with their ladies and like, get a little boost or get the feminine energy that they need, or yeah. And I think it's essential to someone's health, like especially with escorts as well. I think sex is really important in the health of a person overall, and I think that if somebody struggles to get that on the outside world, then I think it's really important for that service to be available to them, to just, make them feel special and give them that intimate connection that they might not be getting. I think it's important.
What's the strangest request you've received?
Oh my gosh. I was at work and this guy wanted to go for a dance, and he's like, oh, I just like want to ask you first before we go, like, do you like booty play? And I was like, excuse me? And he's like, do you like anal and stuff? And I was like, no. And then he's like, oh, so I'm not allowed to finger your butthole. And I was like, this is a strip club, sir. And like, you cannot finger anyone's butthole in here. And he's like, can you finger your own butthole in front of me? I'm like, I'm not going to finger my butthole. Like, there's nothing going in my butthole. I'm at work. Leave me alone. And I was like, you have a good night though. Like, and he's like, oh, no worries. Thanks for your time. I'm like, you're welcome. Like, what? But yeah, that was pretty weird.
How do people react when you tell them that you're a stripper?
It's very mixed, but when I go out with my friends, like me and my friends used to go out and party like after work. So we'd leave like the strip club at like 4 a.m. and like go to like Revs or something and like go party. And then we would like chat to people, and somebody would be like, oh, like, so what do you guys do? And usually if you tell a guy at a club that you're a stripper, they'll be like, oh, use as strippers. And then they'll try and like be all flirty with you, and they'll try and like dance with you or just like hang around you the whole night because they're like, yeah, I was hanging out with strippers at the club. Like, I'm hanging out with strippers. And so like people think it's like a really cool thing to just be around strippers. So people will just like try and always be near you, especially men. But so usually if I'm like at a club and I'm talking to someone who I don't really want to know that I'm a stripper because I already know how they're going to react based on the kind of person that they are, I'll just be like, yeah, I'm a bartender. They're like, oh yeah, cool. And then they just kind of brush it off and, and then they go away. But if you tell them that you're a stripper, they're like, oh, you're a stripper. But usually if I tell girls, they're like, oh my God, that's so cool. Like, I want to be a stripper. I'm like, how do you get into it? So like, I love telling girls that I'm a stripper because they're usually really interested. And like, girls are cute and fun. And like, I don't really feel comfortable telling most men that I'm a stripper because of the way that they act about it. But yeah.
What advice would you give to others on setting boundaries?
That's a good one. I would say to figure out what your boundaries are first. Like, have a good think about what you are and what you aren't comfortable with, and practice saying no. Like, even if it's about things that have nothing to do with anything sexual or like anything to do with like adult work. Like, if someone wants to ask you, hey, do you want to go out for drinks tonight? If you don't want to go, just say no. Like, don't have to feel obligated to do things just because somebody wants you to be there or wants you to do it. So just practice saying no as much as you feel the need to. Like, I say no to pretty much all the plans that people ask me to do. I'm like, nah, I've got too much on. But like, so figure out what your boundaries are and figure out what you're comfortable with. And if you're not comfortable with something, just say that you're not comfortable with it. Be stern, especially in the strip club environment. The men are much more intimidated by you than you are of them, because they're in your environment. This is your house and it's your rules. So just tell them straight up at the start, be really stern with them, and try not to let anything slide that you're not comfortable with, because then they get this feeling that they can push your boundaries further. So just like be assertive and stern as much as you can be. And if you have issues and struggles, like even holding your boundaries and like being stern and stuff, have a chat to another one of the girls, have a chat to management or security or whatever. But usually the girls will just help you out, and, you know, we all kind of band together and look out for one another. So if somebody's done something inappropriate to you, just go into the locker room and tell all the girls about it, and none of us will talk to him the whole night. And then he'll feel really left out and he'll just leave.
What advice would you give to people about sexuality?
That's a tricky one, because I don't even know my own sexuality. Don't feel like you have to categorize yourself, and don't feel like you have to fit into like a certain description. And don't feel like you have to have a certain identity in order to make other people feel comfortable. Like, just be yourself. If you know what your identity is or what your sexuality is, just like own it and don't be scared, especially in 2022. Like, nobody really cares anymore, like what sexuality you are, you know, and there is like a very large community of people out there based on like however you describe yourself that are there to support you. So like, if you consider yourself a part of the queer community, then you've got a whole team of us to support you. And yeah, just try and figure out what you like and what you don't like and what feels comfy for you, and just be yourself, really. You don't have to, you know, fit into any boxes. You know, we're just here to live, you know.
Can you explain polyamory and how your relationship dynamic works?
Cool. So polyamory is having multiple intimate relationships, but it's ethical, because everybody involved knows and understands and agrees to it. So it's not just like you have a partner and then you go to the club and you kiss someone, you're like, I'm polyamorous. Like, no, you have to have that conversation with your partners and tell everybody involved like what the deal is. But yeah, polyamory is where you can have romantic feelings for more than one person and also maintain those relationships. So the dynamic with my relationships is that so my partner Ricky and I have been dating for 5 years. And when I met him, we were monogamous. So we weren't always open poly, because Ricky and I are now in an open relationship. But a couple of years into the relationship, because I always knew that I was like bisexual, I definitely like girls more though. So like, if I wasn't with Ricky, I'd probably just be gay. But I always knew that I was interested in girls. And then so a couple of years into Ricky and I's relationship, I was kind of like, oh, I really want to experiment like with women. I really want to see what those relationships would look like, kind of thing. Because at that time I hadn't really been with too many girls either. So I really wanted to like see what that path was like for me. So we had a conversation about it, and I said I really want to experiment with girls. And obviously, if you're okay with that, then it's only fair for you to be able to see other girls as well. So then we just decided to go open, and then we started our open relationship a couple of years ago. And at the start, it was just an open relationship. It wasn't like specifically polyamorous. And we were just kind of like talking to other people, like sleeping with other people and whatever. And it was super fun. And then there was this one girl that I really liked that I was seeing, and we were sleeping together and stuff, and we had a lot in common. And I was like to Ricky, I really like this girl. Like, I think I'm having feelings for her. And I was like, and then we spoke about polyamory and stuff. And I was like, how would you feel if I kind of like dated her? And he goes, that's fine. And I was like, okay, cool. And then, because he was also talking to a girl that he really liked. And so like I was saying, like, you should date her and stuff. And they didn't end up really dating. But yeah, so then we kind of just agreed that like, it's totally fine if we want to date other people, because we both know that we love each other. And, you know, it doesn't take away from the amount of love that I give him or he gives me, but we just have a lot of it to give out. So yeah, I started dating that girl. And it was really good for a while. And then we both started dating this other person, and we're kind of all, so it was me and Ricky, and then me and two other people were like all dating as well. That didn't work out. And then I met Kenzie. And so Kenzie is my partner who lives in Texas in the US. So she's really far away. But we just instantly clicked. Like, I slid in her DMs on Instagram, and yeah, we just started talking every single day. Like, our first FaceTime call went for like 4 hours. And yeah, so Kenzie and I have been a couple for about 6 months. But the dynamic with our relationship is that mine and Ricky's relationship and mine and Kenzie's relationship is separate. So they don't date. They could if they wanted to, like, I wouldn't care, but they don't really have romantic interest in each other. They're just like friends. And then, yeah, our separate relationships with them. And then Kenzie and I are an open relationship as well. So she can do whatever she wants. And yeah, Ricky's speaking to somebody new at the moment. So that's really exciting. So I really hope that goes well for him as well.
What advice would you give to others considering a polyamorous relationship?
Communication. Like, first, number one thing about polyamory, communication. You have to be open and honest. Honesty is a big one as well. If you're not transparent with all of your partners, like, it's not going to work at all. Because some people could feel like you're kind of leaving them in the dark and like not telling them things or whatever. Because even if you are in an open polyamorous relationship, you can still cheat. You know, if you're not being open and honest with your partners, and if you're being like really sneaky with like what you're doing, like, that's still a betrayal. So yeah, you just need to be open and honest, and you also have to be really on top of your sexual health as well. Because if you're seeing multiple people, you don't want to get something, you know, and then pass it on to your other partners, you know. So it's quite a sensitive situation to be in sexually. So you need to make sure that you're on top of your sexual health and getting checks after every single partner, and regularly. You need to get checked frequently. And what else? Oh, you need to make sure that you make time for yourself too, because otherwise you will get burnt out. Because maintaining multiple relationships, it is high risk, high reward. So like, it is a lot of energy being put into lots of people, so you can get hurt quite easily. But it's worth it, because you get so much love in return of giving out all that love. And but yeah, just make sure you make time for yourself and don't lose who you are in all of the relationships, because it's easy to just put your own time aside to make sure that everybody else is doing okay, and that to make sure that everybody's getting enough attention. But still make sure that you come first at the end of the day, because if you're not looking after yourself, you can't look after your partners properly. So yeah, that's probably about it.
What's the best and worst part about being polyamorous?
The best part is having all the love that you have, because the more you give out, the more you get in return. Also, having a strong support network. So like if something's going on in your life that you need a bit of support with, you have like multiple people to offer you that support. And then you can also be that support for multiple people as well. So it's very rewarding. And yeah, it's just like more things to talk about with more people. So it's just like, it's really exciting. Especially if like both of your partners get along as well. Like it's really cool. It's almost like a little like friendship group, but like everybody loves each other. So it's wonderful. But yeah, I just think that the high reward is definitely the best part. Just like getting all the love and like getting attention from like two people and like, you know, having lots of support and feeling really like held by others is really important, and I really like that. And the worst part about polyamory is I don't really know. I wouldn't ever not be polyamorous. Probably having to put a lot of your energy into other people all the time. Like it can be quite tiring at times, because especially if like both of your partners are going on with something at the same time, or like having something happen in their lives and you have to be there to support them both at the same time, and you're trying to like give your energy to both of those people, and then you're just like forgetting about yourself. So that's probably the hardest part, to make sure that you have time for yourself. Yeah.
How does your family feel about you having multiple partners?
My siblings and stuff like don't mind or care at all. Like they're totally happy if I'm happy. My mum doesn't quite understand it. We had a bit of a phone call a couple months ago where she was like crying on the phone and stuff, because she's like, I just don't understand it. I just don't feel like I know you anymore. And so, yeah, she doesn't really understand the idea of having two partners. She thinks I should just like pick what side of the fence I want to go on, whether I want to have a boy or a girl, because I can't have both or whatever. And I'm like, but I can have both, and I do. But yeah, some of them find it hard to understand, especially because they're like older generations. So it's a bit taboo for them. But obviously for like the younger generations, it's quite normalized now. But yeah, they're coming to terms with it now. Like at the start, I didn't speak about my girlfriend at all to my mum, because I thought that it would make her uncomfortable, which it did at the start. But now I just talk about Kenzie all the time to everybody. And I think they're just going to have to come around to it, because she's not going anywhere. She's actually coming here. So she is going somewhere. She's coming to my house. But, you know, my family's going to meet her and stuff, so they're just going to have to accept it, which I think they will, because they came around to the tattoos as well. So I think they'll be fine.
Can you tell me about your journey with veganism and why you became a vegan?
Cool. So my journey started when I was like 14. When I kind of realized that meat was an animal, and I went vegetarian back then because I thought that it was enough, and I thought that being vegetarian like minimizes your harm to animals to like a zero, because I'm like, well, you're not eating them, so like, you know. So I was vegetarian for like 4 years, and then when I was 18, I watched a couple of documentaries. I watched Cowspiracy, and I also watched Earthlings, and it made me realize that the dairy and egg industries are just as bad as the meat industries. And I cried and cried and cried, and it was a really big eye-opener. And then right then and there is when I went vegan, and I took an oath to not consume any animal products, use any animal products or byproducts or wear them, like no leather, like even products that have been tested on animals, like don't go anywhere near them. But yeah, I made the choice like on the day as soon as I found out that I wasn't doing enough as a vegetarian. So I went vegan, and I went vegan for the animals, obviously. You know, they have feelings and they experience pain, and I don't want to inflict that. So that's why I went vegan, and I've been vegan for 6 years now.
Can you tell me how that led to your animal rights activism?
Yes. So pretty much when I first went vegan, I was like really angry. I was like, nobody told me about any of this, like, and people are just happy to contribute to this, you know, blissfully unaware. So I took to Facebook and I made a status, and I was like, animals have feelings, you know, we need to stop killing them, eating them. And I like made this whole big status. This is when I was really young. And yeah, I pretty much started just like posting stuff on Facebook and whatever, being like an online activist or whatever. And I got a lot of hate. Like a lot of people that I went to high school with were just like sending me photos of animals that had been decapitated, and like sending me videos of like people skinning cows, or like sending me all this traumatic stuff like of animals being killed, and like just laughing about it, or like sending me photos of steak, like yum, like this is delicious. I'm like, wow, you're so original, like that's so funny. But yeah, I started activism like online, and then because I didn't really know anybody that I could join to like do it, but then I started following like this animal rights group, and I started doing some work with them, and we would hold like TVs at Burke Street Mall, and on the TV they would have like slaughterhouse footage, and we would wear like a mask, so like they wouldn't look at us, they would look at the TV, and then there'd be outreaches, which is people talking to the bystanders, being like, oh, how does this footage make you feel? Do you think this is morally okay? Do you think this is ethical? Do you think this is kind? Do you think the animals are enjoying this kind of thing? And it would kind of like get people to think about where their food comes from, and kind of like, make some connections and get people to have that light bulb moment that I had. So then I started doing that. And then I met my beautiful friends, Jamo and Leah, and Dim and Casey, and they are like my vegan activist friends, and they're my best friends. Like we became so close, and they have a page called don'twatch.org, and it's pretty much just got like a whole bunch of like information about veganism and like why we should be vegan and all that kind of stuff. And then I started doing activism work with them. And the first time that I actually met Jamal and Leah was when we did a Don't Watch action at Woolworths, and we covered ourselves in fake blood, and we held signs, and we were like, if you eat meat, you're an animal abuser, like, and all this kind of stuff. And then we're just like telling them about the dairy industry and like how the cows like forcibly impregnated, and like, you know, it's not nice. So we're just doing some activism. And then we just started hanging out like every second day, and we just became like best friends. But yeah, so I've got lots of activism planned, so stay tuned.
Why do you think people can see that footage and then still go on to eat meat, whereas you stopped?
Right. I think a lot of people have cognitive dissonance, which means that they have a disconnect from like what's in front of them to where it came from. Because when people buy animal products, it comes wrapped up in a nice little package, and it's just in the fridge. So people don't see that as an animal, they see it as a product. And I think because I've always been an empathetic person, and I've always thought really deeply about things and why they are and how they are and how things happen and stuff like that. So I think I just made the connection at the time that I did, just based on who I am. And I always find that a lot of people that are vegan are also like really empathetic people. Like they also care about other social issues like homelessness, and they care about like racism issues and sexism and like LGBT issues, and like they're really into like just trying to bring justice to all of those things. And so I think people who are vegan are just like more in touch with their empathetic side. But that's not to say that people who aren't vegan aren't empathetic. They just haven't made that connection yet because of the way that we're brought up and, you know, the traditional ways that we usually just buy food from the shop. So they don't really understand. But everybody has the brain power to put two and two together. And I think the future is vegan.
What do you wish you could say to others that aren't vegan?
Go vegan. No. If you were the animal, would you want people to kill you just to eat you for like a 10-minute meal? Like, do you think that your life is worth 10 minutes for a meal that is unnecessary when people can get their nutrients and minerals from other plant-based foods? Do you think that it's fair to take away a life for the sake of an unnecessary feed? Like, you know, and it's not even healthy either, you know, it's not even good for you. Meat causes cancer, you know, it's a carcinogenic, it's really bad for you. Yeah, I just want to tell people that you've been lied to, and that if you want the answers, go to don'twatch.org, find out.
What's the best and the worst part about being vegan?
The best part is obviously not contributing to the suffering of other beings. It's probably the best part because that's why I'm vegan, essentially. But also another great part is the way that it makes me feel. I feel so healthy and I have so much energy all the time. Like even when I'm at work at the strip club and I'm dancing and I just don't stop, I don't take any breaks. All the other girls are like, how do you have so much energy? I'm like, I'm vegan, babe. You know, I got that vegan energy. And then also my skin, like, it's just so soft and healthy. Like I have a little pimple here because I'm menstruating, but you know, but other than that, my skin is really soft and healthy. My hair is really healthy. I don't even wash my hair at all. I just wet it with water and let the natural oils do the rest. And it's so soft and so healthy and it grows so fast. So yeah, just the positive effects on my body that veganism has given me. It's given me like new energy and like a really positive mindset as well, because when you consume these animal products, you're also consuming the negative energy that's attached to them. So around the same time that I went vegan was around the same time that I also improved my mental health, because I was no longer consuming products that were created on fear and pain and suffering. And also the community, the vegan community is just like one of the most amazing communities that I've ever been a part of. Like some of the most amazing people that I've met in my life is through veganism. And they're just such caring, empathetic people. And I'm just so blessed to have had that connection in my mind about, you know, going vegan and stuff, because it's brought me so many amazing things in life. And then the worst part about being vegan is probably just seeing all of the suffering happening and like seeing that people know what happens and them not caring and not doing anything about it. Because like it's like seeing someone bash their dog in the street and then you say, hey, this isn't cool, you can't do that. They're like, I know what's wrong, but I'm doing it anyways. And then they keep bashing the dog right in front of you to death, and then they kill it and then they eat it in front of you. That's what it's like, because dogs and cows and pigs and chickens and lambs, they're all the same. They all love cuddles. They all love to play, you know, they just want to live. And seeing people just like completely disregard their life is the worst part, for sure.
In an average day, can you describe your diet?
My diet? Cool. This is actually a good question because I have been trying to transition to raw vegan and eat like just raw foods. It's really hard because I'm such a foodie and I'm a comfort eater. And especially because I'm sober, I don't have any vices other than food. So sometimes I like to reward myself with vegan junk food. But on an average day, I usually fast until midday. So I don't eat until 12. And then once it gets to 12 or after 12 or whatever, I usually have like fruit or like a smoothie bowl. Like I'm a sucker for a smoothie bowl. I eat smoothie bowls like every single day. There's this cafe like right near my house. And it's called Super Raw, and and shout out to Super Raw because it's my favorite cafe, and they have the best smoothie bowls in Melbourne there. So, but yeah, I usually have a smoothie bowl, and then I drink a lot of water. I love juice. I drink a lot of smoothies as well. I also love a burrito every now and then. When I'm feeling a bit naughty, I'll have a vegan burrito. Pretty much every Mexican place has one on the menu, so it's pretty easy. Pretty much every place that is around Melbourne has vegan options. What else do I love? I love pancakes. I don't eat them every day though, but I do eat a lot of 7-Eleven vegan sandwiches. I actually have one here. It's the vegan egg and lettuce sandwich at 7-Eleven, and the egg is like tofu, and it's just got lettuce and like vegan mayo, and it's delicious. It is so yummy. So I eat a lot of sandwiches. But yeah, mostly fruit. I pretty much just live on fruit and veggies and salad. I eat a lot of salad too, but fruit all day is my favorite food ever.
Can you tell me about your journey with drugs?
Okay, so I don't even know where it started. I guess I started smoking when I was 14, because I used to smoke with like the older kids at school because I had no friends my age. So I used to just hang out with them behind the school building and just like smoke ciggies and stuff to like be cool. That's literally the only reason I did it. At the time, I was like, no, I do it because I like it. But in hindsight, I was trying to be cool. And then my mum caught me out, and then I got in trouble. So then I stopped smoking. And then I started smoking again when I was, 18. And then I kept smoking for a couple of years. On and off, I kept quitting and then going back into it. And then I started drinking when I was 17, and I would just binge drink. Like, I didn't drink often when I was younger, but every time I drank, it was just to get fucked up. Pretty much everybody, when they were younger, was doing that. And I was a really late bloomer with drugs, actually. I didn't start doing drugs until I was like 20, and then the first drug that I ever did was ketamine. And it was really fun. It was really, really fun. And I used to do that quite often, and I would do it pretty much like every week that I went out. I was just doing ket. And then I tried my first MD cap when I went out with my friends. And it was really fun. And then I was like, this is fucking awesome. Like, obviously this is why people do this instead of drinking. So then I just like pretty much stopped drinking for ages and was just doing drugs. And I would just do MD like every weekend, or like go on a bender for like 2 days or something on MD and ket. And then when I started working as a dancer, I think it was even before I started working as a dancer, I was starting to do coke. When I worked at this bar, I would do coke a lot there. And I was doing it pretty much every day. This is when I was 20 as well. And there was one point where I was even on coke for like 5 days straight, and I didn't even eat in that time. And I even worked a shift at my old job at a pharmacy. I worked all day at the pharmacy and then went back onto the bender without any sleep and just like stayed up for like 5 days on coke. It was so bad. Like, I've never stayed up for that long in my life, and it was fucking crazy. And so that's kind of, I think, where my coke addiction started, because I wouldn't say that I wasn't addicted to ket. I wouldn't say that I was addicted to MD, even though I did it really often, but I wasn't addicted to it. But I was definitely addicted to cocaine. I was doing it every single day. As soon as I woke up, I would just do a line in the morning before going out anywhere. And especially when I started dancing, it became way too easy to just do it every day and all through work, because like a lot of people do it at the strip club, I'm not going to name names, but it happens. And I was on it every single shift, and like customers would come in and they'd give it to you and you'd just take it because it's free. And then because you were already high, then you would end up buying like more after work and like spending all your money that you just made on coke and just sitting up for the whole next day until work again that night. And I was doing that for a long time. I don't even know how long I was addicted to coke for. It was like a couple of years. But one day I was on like a 2-day bender on coke, and I had done quite a lot, and I actually overdosed. And I was home alone because Ricky wasn't home. He was at a party and he was like passed out and whatever. And yeah, it was really, really, really scary. And like I couldn't breathe, and like my pupils were going like big and small, and all my veins were like popping out, and I could see my veins like in my legs and stuff, and I could see my heart like beating in my chest, and it was like so fast and hard. And like I was dizzy, and I had like dark spots in my vision, and I couldn't really stand up, and I couldn't breathe, and like I wasn't hungry, couldn't eat anything. My mouth was like all dry and stuff, and I felt nauseous and like so weak, and like my whole body ached, like was aching, and I couldn't even move. So I was just laying in bed, and then I called the nurse on call, and I told her what happened, and she's like, "You need to call an ambulance right now." And I was like, "Oh, okay." She's like, "Are you going to call it, or do you want me to call it?" And I was like, no, I'll call it. So I hung up. I didn't call the ambulance because I didn't want to get in trouble, because I still had coke in my room, and like, but yeah, I knew that I had coke on me, so I didn't want to call any emergency numbers because I didn't want to get in trouble. So I was just like texting my friend for like just some support, so at least somebody knew what was going on. So I was texting my friend that I worked with that night, and I was like, I think I did too much. Like, I really feel like I might die right now. Like, I thought I was going to die, and I was just accepting it. And then she was just like messaging me and like staying in contact with me and whatever. And I was like crying. And yeah, I just like laid in my bed and OD'd for like 5 hours till I fell asleep. Yeah, it was really bad. And I was like, and I woke up, and I was so surprised that I woke up, and I was like, oh my God, I thought I was going to die. And then the next day I did coke again, straight after it. So that was pretty bad. And then I kept doing coke for ages. And then we went into lockdown for the pandemic. And while we were in lockdown, because like I was already kind of doing Xanax while I was dancing to like take the edge off at the end of the night to go to sleep after being on coke the whole night. So I was doing Xanax quite frequently anyways, but it wasn't an everyday thing. It was just like an every now and then thing. But then when the pandemic came and we were in lockdown, I would buy bottles of 50 Xanax and just like take a couple of those like every single day. I would usually take like 1 or 2 in the morning, and then like 1 in the afternoon, and then like a whole bunch at nighttime. Like I would take like 2, and then I'd stay up super late because I'd like try and stay up to like get the buzz because I didn't want to fall asleep. So I would just stay up and like eat Xanax all night and drink red wine, which is a really bad mix. You should not do that. But yeah, it was so bad. And I would just sit in bed. I wouldn't even go anywhere. I'd just sit at home and eat Xanax. And it was like that for a long time. And then my partner, Ricky, started to catch on and realize that I was getting quite addicted to it. And then he like yelled at me and said, "If you buy another bottle of Xanax, I'm going to throw it on the fucking road." And I was like, because like it's quite expensive. It's $3.50 for a bottle of 50. So like I was like, okay, I'm not going to buy any more. And I, was just laying in bed all day, every day, like just doing the whole withdrawal process and trying to like stay clean. But at the same time, while I was trying to get clean off the Xanax, I was still partying during lockdown and still doing MD and still doing coke and like whatever. Even though I wasn't doing Xanax, I was still doing other stuff. And then I did acid for the first time, and my brain just was completely opened. I was like, holy shit, this is amazing, and like, but the first time I did acid, it wasn't like a big spiritual experience. It was just really fun, and after a couple of times doing acid, because I was doing acid like a lot. I was doing it like every week because there was nothing else to do because we're in lockdown. So I was just doing a lot of acid. And then one time I was doing acid with my friends, and I kind of, it's really hard to explain. It's like ineffable, like the experience that I had this time. We were talking about the exchange of energy and how that's the most valuable thing that exists. So we're talking about how like money is in exchange for energy, like everything's energy, like the reason why we work is because we want food for energy, and we want to have, you know, everything's about energy. And we're talking about that, and me and my other friend who was there were both on acid, so it was only us two, and there was about 6 of us there, but there's only 2 of us that dropped it. And I kind of felt like me and him were telepathically communicating. I don't know, it was really crazy. And I could see the auras of people in the room. So like his one was like really sparkly and like pinky red and like really beautiful aura, because he was a really nice person, and he was also the only other queer person in the room. And I was like, I felt really connected to him. He's really beautiful. And I was like, oh my gosh, like you're so beautiful. Look at your beautiful aura. It's all sparkly and stuff. And then there was this other person in the room that had been going through like a lot of shit, and his aura was like really like dark blue green and like kind of black and like shadowy and down and stuff. And then like I would look at someone else's aura and it would be a different color and stuff, and I was like, holy shit, like what the hell. And I actually stayed up all night once I got home, like writing in my journal, because like I have never really written in a journal before, like on a regular basis, but I got home and I had to write about it. So I wrote like 30 pages about my experience. And what happened after that? Oh yeah. And then I did Xanax again after that. And I wouldn't say that I overdosed, but I was pretty bad because I relapsed. And I don't even know why I did it. I was just like so awake, and somebody just handed them to me and I just ate them, you know. And so yeah, I slept for a long time after that, but that was the last time that I did them. But then after doing acid for a couple of times, I had this realization that my body is doing everything it can to keep me healthy and alive. So I didn't understand why I was like being self-destructive to it, and like drinking and smoking and, you know, taking drugs all the time. And so I kind of just had I don't know, like an epiphany, and I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? So then I just like went sober like that day, and I tried to stay sober, and I was like slipping up and stuff, but I knew that that was the start of my sobriety journey. And I tried to cut down on alcohol and everything, and I quit doing coke that day, and then I quit smoking ciggies as well that day. And yeah, and then I like gradually quit drinking as well, and I've been 100% sober except for like psychedelic medicine since the 1st of April last year. So it's almost been a year of being entirely sober. And I wouldn't change it. Like, I feel so amazing. I go out clubbing sober. I go to bars. I do everything sober, and everybody thinks I'm on stuff just because I'm like naturally like having fun. And people are like, wow, what do you want? I'm like, I'm sober. They're like, no, you're not. I'm like, yes, I am. I'm sober. But yeah, I have no intentions of like going back at all. I still think about drugs all the time, like especially Xanax. I think about it quite often, but I have no intentions of having any. And yeah, I'm just going to continue my journey, being a little psychonaut with my magic mushies and my acid. But yeah, I'm not going to have any other party drugs probably ever again.
How close do you think you came to dying? And how do you feel about that, being so close?
It was really scary. I was crying a lot because in my head I was just thinking like, I'm going to be that stripper that overdoses and dies. Like, that's going to be me. And I didn't want to be remembered like that. I didn't want to be the stripper that overdoses and dies, you know, like, and that happens and it's really sad, but I didn't want that to be my story. It was really scary. I was really, really, really scared. I don't know how close I was to dying that day. I know my body's pretty sturdy, but I think if I kept going with the drug use, especially with the Xanax, because they are very easy to get ahead of yourself with, and a lot of people overdose with Xanax very easily. So I think if I kept going, I probably would have died. Like, I was taking a lot. But yeah, I think that time I overdosed on coke, I was probably pretty close to having a heart attack. or something with my heart. It was really sore. My chest was really tight. I couldn't breathe. So that was pretty scary. And with the Xanax, it wasn't quite, I don't even know if it was an overdose or not. It probably was, because like I couldn't see and I was really confused and I couldn't walk. And I was standing up and I just collapsed. It was quite a funny story, actually. Like, so I had the Xanax and then my friend was like, I'm going to go walk to the shops to go buy some cigarettes. And I was like, oh, can I come for a walk? And he's like, didn't you just eat Xanax? And I was like, oh, yeah, but I'll be fine. And so, and I didn't even know how much I ate, because when you eat Xanax, you always forget that you ate them. So then you eat more because you forgot. And then so we went to the shops and halfway there, I was like not knowing where I was. And I thought that my friend was like someone's brother. And I was like, oh, where's your brother? He's like, what? My brother's not here. Like, you've never met my brother. And I was like, oh, and I was really confused and I didn't know where I was. And he had to like drag me along because I just like couldn't walk. And my whole back, all the nerves in my back were so sore. It felt like they were like cramping, but like in zaps, like electrical zaps all down my back and all my nerves. And I was like folded backwards over and I was like holding up just by my abs, and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna pass out. And I was like falling over myself while I was walking. And this is in the middle of the day in the street at like 10 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, no, I don't want to look like this in front of everyone. Anyway, so we got to the shop. I don't remember it. And I was walking down like half folded over myself and he was trying to drag me. He's like, you okay? And I was like, I don't even know what's going on. And then we got like halfway back and I just collapsed in the street. And in my mind, I was thinking that I was yelling out, call an ambulance, but apparently I wasn't saying anything. I was just like, I couldn't even speak. And I was just like, go without me, like just go, leave me to die kind of thing. And then I was just like in the street, like passed out in the middle of the day. And then he ran down to my apartment and like got Ricky, my partner, and then they both ran back home, like carried me inside and just like put me in the bed. And then I just like passed out for like 2 days. I'm like, why didn't you call an ambulance? Imagine if I died. And then like for like a whole week after that, my organs were so sore. So I went to the hospital to just go check it out. And I was like, I ate a lot of Xanax like last week and my body feels like it's dying and I'm in so much pain. I can't even sit up out of bed. Like to get out of bed, I had to like push against the wall to get up. Like I couldn't use my stomach at all. But they did some checks and apparently I was fine. Apparently I was just like really over fatigued or whatever and I had like bruising or something like that. I don't know what happened, but I was really sore, but it was fine. If I kept going, I probably would have died though.
What advice would you give to others battling a drug addiction?
Tell somebody, anybody. It doesn't matter who you tell, just like talk about it. Or like tell somebody that you trust. Like don't have to tell your family if you don't want to, but tell a really close friend or a sibling or like a colleague or anybody, or just tell your doctor. Like just tell somebody, talk about it. Because you're not alone. A lot of people are going through stuff like this. But yeah. Oh, and I really, really recommend meditating. Meditation helped me a lot in every aspect of my life. So just start wherever you can. Just talk about it and go from there. You're not alone.
Have you had any long-term repercussions from your addiction?
Yeah. My nose, inside my nose has like holes in it from cocaine. And gets really sensitive and sore, like especially if I have a cold and stuff. It'll get so sore that I can't touch it because it's like, I don't know if it's like ruined inside there or whatever, but there's like holes in it at the top. And I also have holes in the back of my throat as well, which I didn't even know that they were there. But then I looked in the mirror and I saw them, and this is really gross, but there was food in one of them and I had to like push the food out of the hole in my back of the throat. And I was like, what the fuck? And I showed my partner, Ricky. He's like, that's so bad. He's like, do you reckon that's from coke? And I was like, I don't know, probably. But yeah, that's not very good. But other than that, yeah, I don't think, other than probably mental things, but I'm mostly over that now. But yeah, I still think about it sometimes, but I'm mostly good.